The Royal Palace of Madrid is the official residence of the Spanish royal family at the city of Madrid, although now only used for state ceremonies. The palace has 135,000 square meters of floor space and contains 3,418 rooms. It is the largest functioning royal palace and the largest by floor area in Europe. King Felipe VI and the royal family do not reside in the palace, choosing instead the significantly more modest Palace of Zarzuela on the outskirts of Madrid. The palace is owned by the Spanish state and administered by the Patrimonio Nacional, a public agency of the Ministry of the Presidency. The palace is located on Bailén Street in the western part of downtown Madrid, east of the Manzanares River, and is accessible from the Opera metro station. Several rooms in the palace are regularly open to the public except during state functions. The palace is located on the site of a 9th-century Alcazar Muslim-era fortress, near the town of Majaret, constructed as an outpost by Muhammad I of Córdoba and inherited after 1036 by the independent Moorish Taifa of Toledo. After Madrid fell to King Alfonso VI of Castile in 1083, the edifice was only rarely used by the kings of Castile. In 1329, King Alfonso XI of Castile convened the Cortes of Madrid for the first time. King Felipe II moved his court to Madrid in 1561. The Old Alcazar was built on the location in the 16th century. After it burned 24 December 1734, King Felipe V ordered a new palace built on the same site. Construction spanned the years 1738 to 1755 and followed a Bernini-esque design by Filippo Juvara and Giovanni Battista Sacchetti in cooperation with Ventura Rodriguez, Francesco Sabatini, and Martín Sarmiento. King Carlos III first occupied the new palace in 1764. The last monarch who lived continuously in the palace was King Alfonso XIII, although Manuel Azaña, president of the Second Republic, also inhabited it, making him the last head of state to do so. During that period the palace was known as Palacio Nacional. There is still a room next to the Real Capilla, which is known by the name Office of Azaña. The interior of the palace is notable for its wealth of art and the use of many types of fine materials in the construction and the decoration of its rooms. It includes paintings by artists such as Caravaggio, Juan de Flandes, Francisco de Goya, and Velázquez, and frescoes by Giovanni Battista Tiepolo, Corrado Giaquinto, and Anton Raphael Mengs. Other collections of great historical and artistic importance preserved in the building include the Royal Armoury of Madrid, porcelain, watches, furniture, silverware, and the world's only complete Stradivarius string quintet. The palace was initially built by Muhammad I, Emir of Córdoba, between 860 and 880. After the Muslims were driven out of Toledo in the 11th century, the castle retained its defensive function. Henry III of Castile added several towers. His son John II used it as a royal residence. During the War of the Castilian Succession 1476, the troops of Joana la Beltraneja were besieged in the Alcazar, during which the building suffered severe damage. The only drawing of the castle from the Middle Ages is one from 1534 by Cornelius Vermeyen. Philip V of Bourbon renovated the royal apartments in 1700. The Alcazar of the Habsburgs was austere in comparison to the Palace of Versailles where the new king had spent his childhood, and he began a series of redesigns mainly planned by Teodoro Ardmans and René Carlier, with the main rooms being redecorated by Queen Maria Luisa of Savoy and the Princess of Ursins in the style of French palaces. On Christmas Eve 1734, the Alcazar was destroyed by a fire that originated in the rooms of the French painter Jean Rank. This fire lasted 4 days and completely destroyed the old Alcazar, whose remaining walls were finally demolished in 1738. Italian architect Filippo Juvara oversaw work on the new palace and devised a lavish project of enormous proportions inspired by Bernini's plans for Versailles. This plan was not realized, due to Juvara's untimely death in March 1736. His disciple Giambattista Sacchetti was chosen to continue the work of his mentor. Sacchetti designed the structure to encompass a large square courtyard and resolved sightline problems by creating projecting wings. In 1760, Charles III called upon Sicilian Francesco Sabatini, a neoclassical architect, to enlarge the building. Sabatini's original idea was to frame the Plaza de la Armeria with a series of galleries and arcades, to accommodate various dependencies, by constructing 2 wings along the square. Only the extension of the southeast tower known as La de San Gil was completed. Sabatini also planned to extend the north side with a large wing that echoed the style of the main building and included 3 square courtyards that would be smaller than the large central courtyard. Work on this expansion started quickly but was soon interrupted, leaving the foundations buried under a platform on which the royal stables were later built. The stables were demolished in the 20th century and replaced by the Sabatini Gardens. In the 19th century, Ferdinand VII, who spent many years imprisoned in the Château de Valençay, began the most thorough renovation of the palace. The aim of this redesign was to turn the old-fashioned Italian-style building into a modern French-style palace. However, his grandson Alfonso XII proposed to turn the palace into a Victorian-style residence. Alfonso's plans were designed by the architect José Segundo de Lema and consisted of remodeling several rooms, replacing marble floors with parquet, and adding period furniture. In the 20th century, restoration work was needed to repair damage suffered during the Spanish Civil War, by repairing or reinstalling decoration and decorative trim and replacing damaged walls with faithful reproductions of the originals.